So we'll try and make it participative. So the two sessions are leadership in career and leadership in life. For leadership in career, I just want to take lessons from the life of Jacob. And for leadership, which is found between Genesis chapter 25 right up to 50, though from 37 a new hero comes, the next gen comes, and that is Joseph. The spotlight from 37 onwards is on Joseph, but you have Jacob mentioned right from 25 onwards till 50. Okay, beautiful. In 25, he comes holding on to the heel of his brother. And in 50, at his heel, at his feet, almost more than 100 people are there as he dies. So he's born holding on to his brother's heel, and he dies with hundreds of people at his feet. What a beautiful life it is. Ecclesiastes says the end is better than the beginning. You know, it doesn't matter what circumstances you come for, but what you make from your life is important. So that is about Jacob. Okay, and then in the session 2, we'll do leadership in life. There we'll focus on just 2 chapters again in Genesis 12 and 13. Just from those 2 chapters, we'll see Abraham's principles of leadership in his life. Okay, so in Jacob's life, we're going to look at 5 aspects of his work ethic, because we're talking about career. By the way, there's a big difference between career and job. Most of us use it interchangeably. Okay, job is, you're also Gen Alpha? No, okay, sorry. I might just give a compliment to all of you. Look like Gen Alpha. You're looking really good. One senior pastor said that he was speaking, very senior pastor in Hyderabad. We were having lunch with him, and he said, when I went to the US, one very big church, there I was complimenting everyone. I looked at an 82-year-old woman and said, "You look so young and fit." She immediately gave $100 in the offering. Then he complimented the whole congregation. "You're all looking so young, and you're all looking so beautiful, and you're all looking wonderful." And the offering also was really good at the whole congregation. So you're all looking like Gen Alpha. You're like Gen Beta. What's your name? Mansi, yes. Manasa. Okay, thank you. See, that's why you didn't want to give me the mic, no? Because I'll play all these pranks. Please don't mind me. I like to just keep things alive. But let's look at, if you have your Bibles open from Genesis chapter 25 onwards, I'll be giving the first thing which we see right there in 5 principles, of 5 aspects of Jacob's work ethic. The first thing that we see, if I open my laptop, I'll be able to see it more clearly. But Jacob had a passion. Passion is very important. Most of the principles or things that whenever I preach, I give it in P, because that's how my name begins. Okay? So I don't know how always I get points beginning with P. Please forgive me, that's not because of my ego. It's just it happens like that. But he had a passion. What is this passion that he had? He had a passion for the birthright. I'm just going to read you one passage. And that is right there in these first 2 chapters that I was looking at, that is there's a passage where Esau, there's a difference between Esau and Jacob. Esau sells his birthright in Genesis 25 verses 29 to 34. I'm just reading it very loudly. Once when Jacob was cooking stew, Esau came in from the field. He was exhausted. And Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I'm exhausted." The Bible has a footnote there. Therefore his name was called Edom. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright now." He was waiting for an opportunity. Esau said, "I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me now." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Look again at the last sentence. Esau despised his birthright. But Jacob was passionate about pursuing his birthright. They were both young. They did not even realize. I say that even before he had a purpose, Jacob had a passion. Now the birthright, you have to understand, the main connotation, it was a spiritual connotation. It was not just property. It was not just the property. Nowadays we reduce everything to very tangible things. But it was much more. It was spiritual leadership of the family passes on to you. That is the meaning of the birthright. And Jacob was passionate about it even before he was too young to realize. My question to you is, in your life, in your career, what are you passionate about? What you are passionate about tells a lot about yourself. What are you passionate about? We have to be passionate about the right things. Some people say, no, I don't have any passions. You know, I just take life as it comes. I go with the herd mentality. All my friends, we ask them in these interviews, we find out what is your aim or what is your career purpose or something like that. And they try to say that when I was born itself, before I was born itself, I was keen on AI, but that's a lie. They didn't know. I knew deep learning when I was just 2 years old. That's just made up for the interview's sake. Those are all the traditional interviewing techniques. Those of you in HR, I tell you, you have to go for behavioral interview techniques. You have to, the best principle is, you look at their past behavior. And your past behavior is the best prediction of future success. So don't ask those traditional interview questions. What will you be 5 years from now? Why do you want to leave the previous job? Tell me about yourself. They have cliched answers. They have workshops how to tell these answers. So don't ask. Ask about their behavior. One of the best behavior-based interviewing thing is competency-based interviewing questions, CBIQ. So anyway, when you ask them, they say, yeah, this is my aim, but you probe a little further and say, how did you choose? After your 10th, how did you choose? My parents told me to go in for MPC. Okay, and after that, my dad knew someone in that college, so I went to that engineering college. Or my friends were going, I went there. And then many of my friends went for this job. I immediately told them it's a dream company, So that kind of just going with the flow. But you can't go with the flow. As a Christian, God is asking you, Jesus says it very clearly, the choice is binary. You either go in the broad road or you go in the narrow way. And the picture that I have in my mind, one of the most fascinating animals is a fish. It's called a salmon. It swims hundreds of kilometers upstream. You know what it means to swim upstream? They go up the stream into the mountains. That's what a salmon does, to lay its eggs and then it comes back. But a salmon swims upstream. Great persistence. If you have a passion, you can swim upstream. You know what's the meaning of swimming upstream? If you take a moment's rest from your passion, if you take a break, you'll be washed back down again. Because the whole world is swimming downstream. So, but if we have a passion, and Jacob had this passion for his birthright, he was like a salmon. He was swimming upstream. In the case of a family, the birthright would actually, in this family, Jacob, because of his grandfather, the birthright would be an inheritance of the covenant that God had with Abraham. Maybe that was what was there as a little child in his mind. That's why he wanted a birthright. Esau, godless, didn't value his birthright. He sold it. And this is what is written about Esau in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 16. See that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal, one biryani, he sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son. He didn't value his birthright. Esau thought nothing about the spiritual heritage of his family. Some of us, we come with a family with a spiritual heritage. Some of us, like Jacob, there was a prophecy about us even before we were born. There was some discussion about us even before we were born. It could be, I don't know if any of you asked your parents about the circumstances of in what circumstances you were born. Maybe in some cases, parents commit you to God's service even before you were born. But soon after that, in the hurly-burly of life and ambition, this is forgotten. I don't know if you've asked that. What were the circumstances? Did someone who prayed come and say anything about you? Did anything? I don't know. But Jacob inherited, he got that passion to fulfill the covenant of God. That is why he was in the spiritual birthright. I just want to read you one quotation from a person called, a theologian called Barnhouse. I'm going to read it very slowly so that you can get it. It's a little complicated language, but you can get it. Barnhouse. History shows that men prefer illusions to realities. They choose time rather than eternity. The pleasures of sin for a season rather than the joys of God forever. Men will read trash rather than reading the Word of God. They adhere to a system of priorities that leaves God out of their lives. Multitudes of men spend more time shaving than on their souls. Multitudes of women probably give more minutes to their appearance than to the life of the eternal spirit. Men still sell their birthright for a mess of pottage. Pottage is actually just kind of a stew. So we still sell our birthright. We have a spiritual inheritance. God has a purpose for us. We should have a passion. Anyway, let's move on. That's the first thing. Jacob had a passion. By the way, we also have, I just wanted to leave this thought with you. You can read it later. Ephesians chapter 1 verses 13 and 14. We also have some riches, some inheritance that God has given each one of us. That is our inheritance. You can just note it down. Ephesians 1, 13 to 14. These are the many things. Every spiritual blessing is promised there. The blessing of being chosen in Jesus, adoption into God's family, complete acceptance by God in Jesus, redemption from our slavery to sin, true and total forgiveness, the riches of God's grace, the revelation and knowledge of the mystery of God's will, and eternal inheritance, the guarantee of the indwelling Holy Spirit. 10 spiritual inheritances are given there. Too many of us just neglect this spiritual inheritance. We trade it away. For what? For cheap entertainment, momentary popularity, passing pleasures. Let's go to the next aspect. God gives Jacob a purpose in Genesis chapter 28. I love that chapter. Jacob was running away from home in very, very sad circumstances because a whole drama of deceit was played. In that drama, there were 4 characters. There was Jacob, of course, there was his brother Esau, there was Isaac, and there was Rebekah. If you look at that passage really carefully, you read 25, 26 and all. I will say this. Everyone says that it's Jacob's fault, but Rebekah also, encouraged him. Then they say, okay, it's Jacob and Rebekah's fault. But then Isaac also was very flippant. He was partial, which he should not be as a parent. And then they say, okay, it is Jacob, Rebekah and Isaac's fault. Poor Esau. But Esau also despised his birthright. He himself did not want that. He was looking very from a material point of view. He did not even know that his parents wanted a spiritual inheritance. And just when he realized that his parents didn't like him marrying a Canaanite woman, he did a brilliant thing. He went and married again from Ishmaelite clan. So, all 4 are at fault. In these family dramas, sometimes we are quick to point out others' fault and not our fault. But actually, all 4 were at fault. That family itself had slipped. And there, Jacob was running away. And a very, very, very lonely place, which later on came to be known as Bethel. Jacob met with God. How beautiful. There, God gave him a purpose in his life. I want to tell you, God has a purpose for each one of our lives. We're thinking very narrowly from a career. You say, 5 years from now, yes, I want to sit in that chair. That's a favorite answer. The interview is asking, what do you want to be 5 years from now? Sir, in your chair. Ooh. And but look at this, God gave him a beautiful purpose. Read that in Genesis chapter 28. I'm just going to move on because I want to give you an exercise fast. But God has a purpose for each one of you. You think God doesn't have a purpose for each one of us? Much more than the flowers of the field or the sparrows of the air, God has a purpose for you and for me. A unique purpose. That is why He has created us unique. Anand Pillai has a beautiful seminar, no? At least 5 things that we have unique. Scientists are discovering now hundreds of things that are unique. But at least 5 things: our DNA, our fingerprint, our iris, our voice signature, and our smell signature. And there are many other things. Now they're discussing. But we are unique. No one else. 8.4 billion people. No one else. God has created unique, and our purpose also is unique. We don't get our purpose by following someone else. We get our purpose by having that encounter with God. So I was invited to a graduation ceremony of a school in Hyderabad. The school is a Christian school, but only 2% of the kids are Christian. You know, they had the graduation ceremony in a chapel, which was really nice. So I was speaking there. Front rows were girls and the boys were behind. And I talked about this incident in Genesis chapter 28. I want to tell you, from my heart was really so joyful within me. I said, the first point is, God is real. Jacob realized that when he was leaving home and when he was lonely, and you all also are leaving your portals of this institution to go into the wider arena of life. And you must realize this, that there is a God. When I said this, honestly, I will tell you, I could see some people just wide-eyed and their mouth open. Probably no one had told them before that there is a God and that He loves you and that He cares for you, that He has a plan and a purpose for you. I was so thrilled to see their expression. God is real. God has a purpose for you. In fact, there are 5 things. When I was talking about the purpose, I'll just quickly tell you that there are 5 things, steps actually in Jacob's life. He realized that in Genesis 28, he realized that God is real. Later on, he realized that God rewards you, that God restores you, God responds to you in your trouble, and God raises you up ultimately. Jacob in Genesis chapter 47, I think, was meeting the most powerful person in this world. And he asked Jacob for blessing. By the time he was Israel, he asked Jacob for blessing. Pharaoh asked Jacob to bless him. Much more powerful than the US president was the Pharaoh at that time. He asked Jacob to. God raises you up. God is real. God rewards. God restores. God responds. God raises you up. Those are the 5 steps in Jacob's ladder which I was talking about. And God has a purpose for you. I want you to spend time. I don't know how many of you can articulate that purpose. One girl from Interface, not here today. Once we were sitting at home and we were all discussing, and she said, I don't know what God's purpose is for me, because I came all the way to Hyderabad from Jharkhand, I don't know why, and then I got some good job offer here. I raised up financially and professionally. I came up and I did extremely well in table tennis at the national level. But why all this is happening to me? What is God's purpose? So I said, I will not be able to tell you. You have to spend time with God. Let's go away from this thing like you go to some person, some man of God, some pastor, some prophet. I don't even like those designations. And ask them, what is my purpose? You spend time with God. You know, and because God does not believe in second-hand information. You have to spend time with Him. He loves it when you spend time with Him. What is my purpose, O Lord? What is my purpose? This is what you have to ask. Okay? And the next phase of Jacob's life is career principles. Jacob was patient and persistent. So, you know, in Genesis 28:2, his mother says, go at once to Padanaram, to the house of your mother's father, Bethuel. Isaac also tells him, take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And miraculously, God makes that happen. Miraculously, Jacob sees Rachel. Just like it happened with his father Isaac, where the servant went and found Rebekah. Jacob also found Rachel at the well. In those days, the well, the village well, was the matrimonial site, I think. So you could find it was love at first sight. And lovely in form and appearance, Rachel came. Laban welcomed him, and he lived in with Laban. But within a month, barely within a month, they say nowadays that thing is 3 days. Fish and visitors stink in 3 days. So Laban said, it's not just free hospitality that I'm giving you, you have to work. And Jacob said, yes, for Rachel, I don't mind working. I'll work for you 7 years for Rachel. So what it means there, in those days, the system of dowry was that the man had to give something to the girl's family. I wish that system is there. In fact, I don't wish either man or girl. I wish dowry system itself, which is a very evil practice. And I really hope from my heart that none of you are encouraging in some way, either for yourself or for your next generation, the most evil, unchristian, unbiblical practice of dowry, which we have inherited from the evil practices. We call it culture, but it's from a different religion. Okay, it's not biblical. Nowhere is it there. And if you have also in that, there are ways, pray to God and say, how can I remove the curse of having accepted dowry? It is a curse that you'll be living in. Anyway, that was not the intention of my thing. That's not the way you have to get rich. That's not the way. Jacob believed, this was his career principle, that he will work hard. He will be patient and persistent. Jacob met his match. He met an evil deceiver who was a bigger deceiver than him. In fact, I'll tell you 4 things about Laban, which you can start imagining in your mind, your manager, or someone who's giving you a lot of trouble at work. Okay? 4 things that you can see about Laban here. This kind of person you'll find in plenty at work. I just hope that you are not that kind of person at work. Because every time when people come to me and pray that I get the promotion, I get the increase, I get the on-site posting, pray that. That's not the kind of prayer that you will, if genuinely you have left your career in God's hands. You're just saying, as a Christian, because I have the label Christian, I should get all the benefits. I did not work hard. I should get all the benefits. Just pray for that, Pastor. Pray for that. But Laban was 4 things. First thing is, he was very calculative. He showed great hospitality to Jacob because he was his nephew and good husband material, etc., etc. But also because Laban knew the name had spread that Isaac was very wealthy, much more wealthy than Laban. So why not his son, who has got the birthright also? Very calculative. You know, in the interview, they'll say, we want to give you this benefit, this. The moment you enter the thing, no more the talk is about benefits. Your manager wants you to work. What, you're not available on Sunday? What? You said no, that you're very flexible. Anyway, very calculating. Next is, he took advantage. When he saw that Jacob was in love with Rachel, he took advantage of that fact. Third is, he was a deceiver. He got his elder daughter married by deception. Fourth is, he was a manipulator. We meet people every day at our work who manipulate us. Manipulate, sometimes, I'm sorry to say, even as Christian leaders, we might manipulate everyone. If you're a good Christian, you should do this for me. That's manipulation. That's getting your work done by asking them, speaking very cleverly with them. The psalmist says they are the kind of people who try to win the battle with their tongue, with their words. Manipulator, calculating, advantage, deceiver, manipulator. It was Jacob who deceived his father, and so he got a father-in-law who was worse deceiver than him. That happens. We will come across such people in our work. We have to be patient and persistent. It's not just because you want to marry that manager's daughter, but it's because or that vice president's daughter or something else. But it's because genuinely his character was patient and persistent. Very good. Imagine 7 years he worked, 7 years wages of yours is actually much more than a dowry that you can give. You know, he gave much more dowry than it was these days also, that a rich family can give. I'm sorry if I offended you about those words about dowry, but it's from my heart. It's unbiblical, unchristian, whatever way, name you call it. Okay, you can call it gift, bank balance, gold, you can call it anything. That's not where our trust lies. Some men may trust in chariots, but we trust in the living God. Anyway, Laban got down to business. He started discussing wages with Jacob. Jacob was so much in love with Rachel. He did not ask for the salary, but he talked about what he can work. Yes, men had to give a dowry. 7 years wages is a lot. Ultimately, Jacob ended up working for 20 years. And 10 times his wages were reduced. You know, that never happens. I've never had a Christian, no one, even when they come from a prayer point, you know, I've never had anyone who says, God has given me enough. In fact, my life will be better if my wages are reduced by little. Anyone like that? Why don't we have prayer people like that? Why don't we have prayer requests like that? I have shocked my manager at least on 4 or 5 occasions. Different managers saying that I think I'm getting more than what I deserve. I'm okay this cycle, even if you have to reduce. I have done it. They've not actually reduced it. That doesn't mean that I was doing a cunning thing by that. But you have to be grateful. You can't think that the only way of career growth is increased salary. Many of us are in a trap. In 1 Timothy 6th chapter verses 6 to 10, it is said, godliness with contentment is great gain. Those who wanted to get rich have drifted away and fallen into a trap. And when people come to me for career counseling and say, I got a good job, but it is 2,000 rupees less than that other job, then I'm thinking, how narrow-minded. They're already in that trap of wealth. Is that the only way you measure your career? That I should continuously increasing? And I'll tell you a HR secret. Where the job is not by itself, enriching, there the salaries are more. Where they want to steal people. And I've known many people at the mid-level in their career, they're stuck because of this trap. They can't go elsewhere, they're not getting a job elsewhere because it's lesser salary than what they're getting. And they think it's a defeat when they accept it, they don't want to tell anyone. It's not. Jacob's wages were reduced 10 times. And God made him so prosperous. That's the 5th point, God made him so prosperous. But in the 3rd point, again, let me come back. He was patient and he was persistent. What a deceiver Laban was, right? What a deceiver. And later on we see that his own daughters didn't respect him at all. This is what happens. When you're so blind about wealth and power and position and this thing, I'm telling you, you lose the respect of everyone. Outwardly they might be good to you, but your own family will not respect you. If that is your principle of career, you think you're doing a great thing. Oh, I went on site and came. I'm telling you, nothing great going on site. I also want to tell you another thing. Many people at high level have said, we have created a monstrous generation where they're not deep in their knowledge. They just learn something like coding or testing or something like that, and they think they're very big. But that's not deep, that's technology. Technology is very shallow. Technology is the application of science. And their roots are not in science. They know, how to make things work, but why it works that way, they don't know. If they were more deep in their knowledge, we would have been much better. Even AI is very drudgery work. It's just coding XXXX. You know, you do more work. I know a person, he was building one AI model. You know what they were doing for almost 3 months? They had a target of, image recognition of at least 10,000 images, 10,000 objects. And for each object, they had to take it from 10 different angles, the picture. So basically 1 lakh pictures, labeling them was the so-called AI work that they were doing. And many people have said, I had the privilege of meeting some really senior people and said, no one tells these people the secret that what their knowledge is actually very shallow. They have no business to be proud of what they're doing. None of them, most of them at least, are not deep enough. They think technology is the be-all and end-all. But that's very shallow knowledge. Technology is the most shallow knowledge, just the application, and now it has become the commercial application of science. Anyway, Jacob was patient and persistent, and now I just wanted to, come into the 4th point where I need your help, and we'll just quickly, we're already at 11:50. We'll divide you into teams. And want to give a break now, Sudhir? Or can give a break now. I'll divide into teams. They can take their break, and with the break of 5 minutes, I'll give them 15 minutes. So 10 minutes discussion, 5 minutes break. Is that okay? So we will have 4 teams here, if that is okay. And I just want you to call out 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2,
3, 4, 1, 3,
4. So what we need to do is, our employer is above. That's what God told Jacob in Genesis chapter 28. I will prosper you. I will bless you. He is our employer. And so we have to go by his principles. And Jacob did that. So I am looking forward for you to tell me what are the 3 to 5 spiritual principles that you can see in this passage. So team 1 in Genesis chapter 30, look from 25 to 43, which is the end of the passage. Genesis 30, 25 to 43. You'll have to read a little carefully to see what spiritual principles. Team 2, you have the same. Genesis 30, verses 25 to 43. Team 3, you have Genesis 31, verses 1 to 16. And I really wish you can come closer because it's difficult. The other team 2 will get your points. Okay? So if you can come closer. And team 4, it is again Genesis 31, verses 1 to 16. Minimum 3, maximum 5 spiritual principles of work that you can get from Jacob's life. Shall we have from team 4? We just have 2 minutes to present. Team 4, if you can come forward and present. Brother Wilson.
Good morning, everybody. I think everyone in our team has contributed.
Please note down.
There are more than 5. More than 5 also I can cover now.
Yeah, more than 5. Is it possible those who are displaying, can you just note down the principles? And they should. Thank you so much, Jeremiah.
See, number 1 is ability to hear from God and obey. Even though the situation that Jacob was going through was
1 second. Your discussion time is over. So you have to listen. Okay? You listen to about the fishes and also listen about the fishes.
So even though the condition that he was in, the situation that he was in was very difficult, he was closely connected to God and he was able to listen to God, and when he heard from God, he was ready to obey as well.
Ability to listen to hear from God and obey. That's number 1.
Correct. Second is faith in God, that God is in full control of whatever he is going through. That's the second one. And in this ability to depend on God and the fact that he was saying that God is in full control, he also was submitted to the point that God is the one who is going to give him the protection as well, in whatever he was going through. Next, even though he was not finding favor from Laban, his supervisor, he knew that he had a favor from God. So that enabled him to move forward. And next one is, God is a promise-making and promise-keeping God. He had that belief and trust in him. Because I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, go back. So he knew that he is the one who is in control, and God is a promise-making and promise-keeping God. And lastly, we have to be faithful in what is given to us. And don't look for a change unless God tells us to change. Many of us, they look for a change due to various reasons. I'm not happy with what is happening, I'm not happy with the job, or I'm not happy with so many things which are going on. But Jacob never looked for a change unless God told him to go and get out of. So be faithful in what is given to you and don't look for a change until God leads you. And there are multiple other aspects are there. I just paused because everybody had contributed. Faith, commitment and dedication, long suffering, wisdom. I think it's difficult to note down. I just am telling all the ideas that came from the team. Please. Okay. Wisdom, strong willpower. God makes impossible things possible, and he was highly talented. And his recognition that God is his father and God left him. And also willing to come out of his comfort zone. He worked there for 20 years and he was ready to get out of his comfort zone, and he was open and honest with God. And one last point that I want to add is involve family in the decision making.
Beautiful. He called his family forward in Genesis 31 verses 1 to 16. He calls Rachel and Leah out into the field and had a family conference. It's really good.
These are the things, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Give a big hand to Pramod and the entire team. But it was all from you, or did he share his own message? It was from, okay. This point, no. 3, make it that he believed in God's promises, and that God will keep his promise. Because we're talking about Jacob. Yeah. So, thank you very much. Excellent. I just love this. You said that he moved only when God asked him to move. 20 years. And still he was not thinking of so much of harassment and all. He believed that was God's will for him. God's will is not always that you go where everything will be hunky-dory, you'll be getting promotion after promotion and promotion. 10 times salary has been reduced, and he still was happy there because it was God's will. And God was making him prosperous. I am looking at CVs nowadays, especially new age companies, and where if it is 7 years experience, it will be something like 8 to 10 companies they have changed. That is a profile of a person who is not satisfied. It's not the profile of someone who says godliness with contentment is great gain. That verse cannot be applied if you are hopping, hop, step and jump. He went in with God's grace, with God's promise, and he left also according to God's instruction. Okay, we'll go with team 1, if you're ready, because I'm scared you'll keep discussing. Yes. Your name, brother? Deepak, yes. Deepak, please come.
Okay. Jacob was never against his master. So though he was not dealing with him well, so he was always in a pleading mode. That's the first point.
So Jacob, how would you put it, like a principle? Jacob served his master?
Yeah, served his master faithfully, or he was obedient to him.
Jacob was obedient to his master. Yes.
And he's asking for his wages in a respectable way. So he's not demanding it. He is saying that, okay, I will take whatever the speckled ones or the striped ones and so on. So that's, he is not demanding his wages, but he is asking in a respectable way. And he is responsible for feeding his own family. So whenever he asks for a hike or somewhere, he didn't come up with an idea saying, okay, I deserve it. He's saying, I have to feed my family also, which is a genuine need. And he's not getting.
Words like that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's saying, I have to feed my own family. There's a verse there.
Beautiful.
And the best, one more thing is, he's using innovative methods to increase his own wages. That is.
Sorry, just a pause. 2 is he was respectful in his requests. And third is respectfully made requests.
Yeah, third one is responsible for feeding his own family in the way that he is asking for hike.
Yes.
And fourth point is he is earning his wages in an innovative way. He is just not sitting there and saying, okay, give me my hike, I will not work. He is doing his own innovative way, that is putting those striped sticks in the troughs so that they will bring forth the striped or spotted ones.
I want to clarify there. Many youngsters have said, see, Jacob was cheating at work, so I can also cheat at work. First of all, God does not say follow Jacob, whatever Jacob does. We can learn principles, but if you read it, it's not that way. He was cheated and then God helped him. It was ultimately God's grace, that the multiplication happened with those speckled and spotted. No, please go on.
And he was, Laban have taken the striped ones and the spotted ones by crooked way, and he put them somewhere at a 3 days distance.
Yes.
So when he said, this is what I'm going to give you a hike tomorrow, so suddenly your manager doesn't appear to you. But he wasn't rebellious to that. He knew that his whatever his own spotted or striped ones are taken away, but he started again from the zero. So he was not against him. And he was putting his own efforts to earn his salary and trusting in God. Obviously, just by looking at the striped sticks, you will not get a striped ones. But he is not just going into a depression mode saying, okay, Laban have deceived me several times. But he was still trying to put his own efforts, that is putting those sticks in a trough. Yeah, is it anything else?
Put his efforts into it. Well done, well done. Give them a big thank you, Deepak, and thank you, team, for that. Who wants to go next? Either 3 or 4? Sorry, 2 or 3? 3? Okay, please come forward. Oh, good to see you. Yes. Can you use the mic? Can you speak?
So as I said, for the instruction which came from our team, so people has to speak.
Thank you. I'm just joking.
Yes, sir. I just said. Okay. From the discussion, we have a list out the few points. Almost we put in a buffer of 2 points also. What you asked for 6, we kept it at 8. But apart from that, we wanted to accumulate and bring it to the 6. So first, we observed Jacob worked very hard. Okay, with his full capacity. So if you see that word, so in respect of any the jealousy word we came from this Lahab's sons also. So yet he worked for very hard. And second, we feel that Jacob had a strong relationship with God and for the listen for the word of the God. So that is, we can put it sometimes we don't have much communication with God in terms of the personal or professional life. We can't able to move further ahead. But we are going to take a right decision in the right time. So and third, I can say Jacob has introspect skills which he observed when he wanted to move from the place when God told about. He just recollected all the dot points, what are the things happened in the past and present, what he need to do, and future aspect he has a conversion to discuss with the family also. So that was the 3 point. Rest he can be.
The 4th point is, you can be wrongly accused at the workplace, even though he accused by Jacob's sons that you are taking all of my father's possessions. Deceiving. Laban's. So he was wrongly accused, but still he was given consistently 100% of his at the work. The 5th point is, Jacob has the confidence on his family. that family together, they collectively take a decision to move away from that place. So that's a good thing. Discussing within the family to what to do, what knowing the God's will, praying collectively together. So that's a good thing. And the other one is Jacob had a vision. I mean, all the time if you look at him before his marriage, after his marriage also, while he was working also, he has a dream, he has a vision that what he wants to achieve, what has he has seen in the dream, he wants to achieve that.
Very big hand. What's your name? Samuel.
So you mean to say normally the way you said it, even though he was married, he still had a vision. That means marriage normally leaves a vision. Just not your frank.
No, brother, after marriage,
Your experience will deal with that.
Oh no. But it's really blessed. I learned from my friend, two friends. One is Richard Samuel, other is Joshua Madan, saying that whatever ministry you do, do it together. Both the husband and wife do your ministry together. It's a great blessing. Normally we like to do it alone, but I think family having a the vision is gone here, but family having a vision together is a great thing. Oh, sorry, this is still being recorded, right? So thank you very much. We'll go to the team which was the first in completing. I don't know, they hardly discussed. I didn't hear any discussion there. Sudhir went outside and came back and he said we completed. So if this team 2 can please come forward. Sister Yeni, Vijaya, please.
Okay. First of all, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I came today the first time for this meet actually. So, yeah, Team 2 has collaboratively and connectively has picked up these points. We dealt with Genesis chapter 30, 25 to 40. Okay, the spiritual blessings. So the first point I would say the righteousness. Jacob was so righteous at his work, and he was so patient that he was good at work and for his wives and children. And because he had made his work so diligently. So second point, I would say that he became a blessing. Jacob became a blessing to Laban. How? Because when Jacob came, Laban was having, before Jacob came to Laban, he was having very few flocks, right? But when he came, when Jacob came, it became very increased in increased mode, and that's when he became a blessing to him. So I can say that. And also Jacob made a deal with Laban to take care of his flocks and made profit of his own skill. So God has given him skill and knowledge, and that's where he has applied that knowledge, and he made a deal, even though without having wages, he has built the profit. And the other one I can say is he was so innovative and made a strategy in increasing the flocks.
That was innovation. That's so.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
that's where he innovatively worked. So nowadays, every company or in every IT company, people or management is looking for innovation, and especially in the field of AI, where we are in right now, Gen AI, right? So I can apply this thing in our day-to-day lives as well. We also should work innovatively. And the last point, I would say that with all these pointers, Jacob became very wealthy. So God has blessed with him good wealth. So actually, all these points have been covered by all the teams. So I thank you for this
Some of them are new.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give a big hand. Just keep this on the screen. So this is what I wanted to come back to, the fifth point. You know, that God made Jacob prosperous. You know, so it was just not like that. Prosperity doesn't come in an easy way. And it's a different kind of prosperity that I wanted to say. Prosperous, normally we think in terms of bank balance and investments and sahi hai and all those kind of things. But prosperity is much different. Prosperity in the things that money can't buy. That is the true prosperity that only God can give you. And Jacob was prosperous. What a blessing in his life. His son inherited his work ethic. If you want to think of a source of how did Joseph become so proficient, so skillful, so hardworking, so humble, so honest, it's from his dad. He inherited that work ethic from his father. And I'm telling you, our children, our next gen will be more than us. In either the wrong way or the right way. So we have to be very careful of the legacy that we are leaving. And as I was saying before, if you are pursuing things too selfishly, too greedily, you lose respect in your own family. And he was there, that was one of his prosperity. He had a family who really loved him and blessed him. And that's what happened in Genesis chapter 50. In 49, he was blessing each one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And finally, the boy who was born holding on to the heel of someone, you know, in Genesis 50, they were all at his feet. All of them at his feet. And even Pharaoh asking Jacob, Israel, to bless him. So we will move on now. This is about career. And I want to say honestly, yes. Back to classroom. Yes. Back to classroom.